wait time is approximately forever.
We cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
Please continue to hold for the next available representative.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
We appreciate you waiting and waiting. What is it you're waiting for? Do you even know anymore?
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Disconnected.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new Red Eagle Politics live stream. It is the end of the month almost. This is the last live stream for the entire month. So make sure you guys like the stream down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. We've got a lot to do. We have a lot to talk about. We'll be taking calls in the Discord for those in the Discord. We'll get to some calls later because we promise one call and stream per month. It's the end of the month. I think why not do it now? So without further ado, we're going to get going. And this is something that I've kind of realized over the past couple weeks or so as Donald Trump has won the primary. Donald Trump is winning the primary by a lot, which is anticipated. It's to be expected. But on top of that, he is leading Biden in the popular vote, not by just a hair, but by 4 percentage points. He's polling above Biden by like 8 in some polls in Michigan, 5 in Georgia, 5 in Arizona. And we know Biden's unpopular, but it's honestly like you're looking at the polls and it feels a little bit too good to be true, honestly. And that's not me saying the polls are not accurate or they're intentionally trying to bolster Donald Trump, but it's just like it is kind of hard to believe and hard to process for a lot of people, whether they're true or not, because it seems like you've had election loss after election loss after election loss for the most part on the right, with the exception of the 2021 Virginia's governor's race there. But Either way, Trump is in a very good position, and this is something that people don't realize. He's going up against somebody who's extremely unpopular. They've thrown everything they can throw at Donald Trump. They've thrown lawsuits. They've thrown false, unproven allegations of sexual assault at him, and they've successfully sued him for $80 million for him just going out there and defending himself from a crazy person. And still, they've got the whole system working against him, but it's not really affecting, it's not really moving the needle. And when we do take calls, which is not going to be for probably another 20, 30 minutes on in the show, possibly even a little bit longer, I did want to ask the people, do you feel confident, more confident now than you felt a couple of months ago? What are you seeing on the ground? Is the vibe going in the direction of Trump? Because I think he's in a very good position. I'm not saying we need to take it for granted. I'm not trying to concern troll either and say, yeah, you know, this isn't stable. This isn't something that is sustainable. Because I think it is. I think, yeah, it's, you know, seeing Trump win the popular vote by 4 points it's a little far-fetched to really envision just because we haven't had something like that before. But is he the favorite? Yes. If the election was today, would he defeat Biden? Probably decisively, probably by more than he defeated Biden by, or more than he defeated Hillary Clinton by in 2016 in the Electoral College. Absolutely. Without a doubt, I think he would. There's a lot of factors at play, though, but I did want to kind of get the vibe of the people on this topic to see, do you really think that Trump is up by this much? Do you think Trump is going to go out there and win? What is the real vibe of the people in the call? Because I usually, in my comment section, I get a mixed bag. I get people saying that it's a mirage, even people that support Trump, and then we get people saying, no, he's going to win New York. And I think the answer is somewhere in the middle, obviously, and that we know. So I did kind of want to get to the people on that. But Trump is in a good position regardless. The data shows it. The data doesn't lie. Twitter's not real life. Twitter drama. Oh, these people that supported DeSantis on Twitter aren't endorsing Donald Trump. Oh, who cares? Because these people don't represent DeSantis voters in real life at all, because those have mostly gone already into the hands of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is getting stronger. So when you're looking at the big picture, yeah, some dumb internet drama, it doesn't impact the real world. It really doesn't whatsoever. Most Americans, most conservatives are not on Twitter. In many cases, they're not really all that active on social media, period. And maybe they have an Instagram they barely post on, or maybe they use Facebook or have a 5-year-old Twitter account that they don't even use. Like, that's just basically the way it is. Some dumb Twitter drama doesn't impact elections. Some people getting upset about certain candidates in certain primaries doesn't really impact these elections as much as some people would anticipate them to. And in the real world, Biden is unpopular. Donald Trump is still a polarizing figure, but when you look at the Trump administration and you compare it to the Biden administration, well, it's pretty obvious who the winner is. It's Donald Trump in reality. If you have people that are dumb enough to avoid what's happening at our southern border, to avoid what is happening in terms of the economy when it comes down to their voting decision, then we are not a serious country, which in many regards we're not. The fact that this is even a competitive race speaks volumes, but still, when it comes down to it, this has to basically be the clear message. Trump's administration versus Biden's administration. Trump's administration, with the exception of 2020, was a very prosperous time, relatively speaking, for this country. You saw the lower income brackets start to benefit off of his tax legislation, which you didn't even see that back in the days of Ronald Reagan. You saw a stable economy, an economy that was doing better. You saw we were starting to, restructure a lot of our trade deals. We were starting to get things in order, and then obviously we got hit with a massive pandemic of sorts that was trumped up, no pun intended, mainly by the media. And as a result, everything kind of the train was derailed per se. It was off the track. But still, when it comes down to it, a majority of Americans realize that when they think of Donald Trump's administration, it's mainly the good aspects of it. And when it comes down to the 2020 part, they realize that's not entirely his fault. Every country in the world was going through economic turmoil, etc. They were spending like crazy. Biden, however, has decided to make things worse. He's basically opened up the border to the entire continent of South America and the entirety of Central America, and you have people all across the world pouring in millions upon millions. We're going to talk about the border, but you look at the approval of Biden on every single issue. This is what needs to be hammered home. The only thing Biden can run on is abortion. And how successful is he going to be on that issue against somebody like Trump, who's not really seen as a hardliner on that topic, is another valid question. It is. He could say Trump appointed justices that overturned Roe v. Wade or whatever, but I think the main kicker for a lot of people that are fired up on the issue is not necessarily just the whole Roe v. Wade thing, more so than it is you have people going out there and proposing further restrictions at the state or national level, and Donald Trump is not doing that, and it's a smart thing that he's not, because A, it's electoral poison, and B, you need 60 votes to really get anything through. You're not going to be able to really advance any sort of legislation of the sort at the national level anyways, to the point where it's kind of just like giving your enemy more ammunition on a third rail issue. And other issues like Social Security, entitlements, those are also issues that Donald Trump is kind of taking them off the table for Democrats, because he's kind of taking a more measured approach than somebody like a Nikki Haley or the record of Ron DeSantis, even when it came down to that issue. So looking at the whole picture, Trump, on paper, you could say, has a perfect lane, an wide open lane to the presidency, so long as he stays on message, which it seems like he's been doing. He's not talking about things that are, not resonating with a lot of voters, not really talking about these issues that are niche issues or whatever. He's not talking about the 2020 election 24 hours a day like so many people expected him to when he was going to run for president in 2024. So all in all, it seems like Trump is on the right path. I think he's got a clear path. I don't think it's a guarantee. I think that we're going to have to work like we're down 7 instead of ahead by 4. But still, you have to say that Trump is in a decent position. I just kind of wanted to get the pulse of the people on it, see what they exactly had to say about it. But furthermore, talking about the border, because I think this is another big issue. And we talk about Trump and the election. What is one issue that Donald Trump kind of made his brand? And it's always been a part of his brand. What set him apart from a lot of older, old guard Republicans back in 2016? Donald Trump talked about immigration. He talked about the border. He talked about the need to have a secure border, a need to lower immigration even as a whole, talking about a more merit-based system. Some people would even say it doesn't go far enough, but still, you're moving the ball in the right direction, which is what he needs to do on the issue of immigration, on the topic. He's doing something positive on that. He's moved the Overton window significantly on the issue. He's made it a part of his brand. And then the current administration decides to leave the border wide open. The border is wide open. We don't have a country. We don't have a country without a border. And these are things that if they poll even Democrats on the issue, and then they ask Democrats, do you support a wall at the southern border? A majority of Democrats now support a wall. That would have been unconscionable before. Biden's approval on the issue is abysmal, and he's shown zero signs of rectifying the problem. Not only that, he's running out of time trying to rectify the problem, because we only have, 9 months before the election? Because, a year or two ago, you still had time. Now there's not a lot of time. And you talk about Biden's approval rating overall on immigration. He is down 32 points on the issue of immigration. He's down 32. Seriously, 32 points. This is abysmal. This is absolutely disastrous for Biden, because you know that this is an issue that Donald Trump is going to hammer home. And Democrats don't understand. They're so out of touch. Biden's out of touch on the economy when he tries to say that it's recovering, even though a majority of Americans don't see it that way. Biden's approval rating on the economy is in the gutter because of it. He's down by 22 points. His approval on the economy is getting worse, despite the fact that the economy is supposedly doing well. It's supposedly getting better. Inflation is slowing down, but inflation is down by he's down by 32 on the issue. But when it comes down to immigration, which is arguably a very big one, and it's an issue that Donald Trump has used in the past to his advantage to galvanize turnout, he can set the narrative unlike no other Republican, which is why he's so successful and why he's so unique when it comes to his ability to supercharge base turnout. But when you look at it, 31.5% approve of Biden's immigration job, 63.5% disapprove of the way Biden is handling immigration. This is a gold mine right here, and it's also why the border crisis, of all of Biden's weak moments, of every possible weak moment he's had, every disastrous move that he's made, not having an open border or not having a closed border, and you're encouraging people to just pour into the country. How many times before the 2020 election did he basically say that he wanted people to, rush to the border, and he criticized the Remain in Mexico policy, and he got rid of it, and it was working. Mexico was in a way paying for the wall, and, Trump got hit on that. But he should have used that as a retort, which would have worked wonders against DeSantis, but it doesn't matter because he won anyways. But when it comes down to it, when you look at the border, Mexico was doing their part. They were paying for security to keep people out of the country, to lower the amount of illegal immigration into this country, and it was working, which saved us money, which could have been diverted towards more border security. It could have been diverted towards our wall, which we were. I mean, we didn't build the entire thing, obviously. We know that. But Mexico was doing their part. Trump got it done. He's the negotiator. He got it done. Biden is he's a doofus. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and he's a puppet for people that know what they're doing, and they want to destroy this country, and they want the border to be wide open. And as a result, how many people have we seen pour in? If you took all the people that poured into this country and you put them in one state population size, they would be, it'd be like the 15th most populous state in the entire country. I mean, you're creating new states of people every year. You're getting a new Connecticut full of illegal aliens. You don't know where these people are coming from. You don't know what these people are bringing. They're bringing crime, drugs, many cases human trafficking. It's a massive disaster. And our border statistics don't even pick up on a lot of what they're bringing to this country. So overall, it is a massive problem that we have, and it's something that will hurt Biden electorally. But what are Democrats doing? They're doubling down. Democrats are dumb enough to double down on this issue and criticize Donald Trump's rhetoric, which is pretty tame compared to 2016 overall. What are they criticizing? Even like the poison the blood comment, which mainly refers to illegals bringing diseases, which that literally is just a fact of what's going on. And they poll that question, and even a majority or at least a plurality, even though it's a leading question, that is basically guaranteed to come back with a lofty disapprove. Donald Trump, in several polls I've seen, when they poll the comment, which is probably one of the more spicy ones, you see 47% approve, 46% disapprove, and then all of the other Trump comments, like we need a secure border, it's like 80-20 approve. Obviously, if you say it comes from Trump, it probably lowers it a little bit in the eyes of a lot of these Democrats, but a lot of people understand we have a problem. We have a massive problem, and it seems like a lot of people are waking up to the fact that this administration is a disaster. They're waking up to the fact that Biden doesn't know what the hell he's doing. In fact, if he does, he's willingly destroying this country, which is a massive problem. And we need strong leadership back so we can go out there, so we can save this country, so we can, just make the American dream somewhat relevant again. It seems like we were moving towards that a little bit, and now it's completely gone out the window. Now our country is a massive disaster. Third world country, by the way, in many aspects, and it's only going downhill from here. So why would we reward this administration? Seriously, that has to be the sales pitch. Why reward this administration? Why? Because Trump's mean sometimes. I mean, he's kind of more, toned down a lot of the more bombastic rhetoric. Some people don't even like it. I think it's whatever. I think it's fine. I think he's been, on point. He knows when to be witty. He knows when to be funny. He knows when to kind of clap back at the right times. And it's, so far, whenever people watch the town halls of him, his numbers tend to do a little bit better. So all in all, I think that Trump is in a good position. I think that this is a gold mine issue, but the Democrats on the issue it's a disaster. You see this guy in Congress.
I will not.
He's going out there.
I want to remind the public that Donald Trump and House Republicans also have their own ideas.
And he's going on and he's saying that, Trump is dangerous. Trump is dangerous because he wants an alligator moat by the southern border, which is absolutely hilarious. And he talks about all these solutions in this video, and they're all accurate and they all would help out, but instead they don't want that. They want people to pour in. They want to naturalize them. They want to give them amnesty. They want to make sure that they are voting in our elections. They want to make them citizens. So they vote one way and they, kind of box out the Republican Party of having any power. That's what they're trying to do. And so many Republicans, like you see the weak Republican leadership in Congress, what are they going to do? Oh, wait, they're going to go along with it. They're going to go along with these people because that's all they care about. They care about caving so they can please their liberal friends. That's not what we need to do. We need strong leadership who doesn't care what the other side thinks, who doesn't care that the other side's going to call them names, who doesn't care about what the establishment uniparty wants. We need people that are just going to do the right thing. We need people that are going to go out there and secure our southern border. That's all it comes down to. Seriously. We need to make sure that what is going on is going to be taken care of. That's what we need. We need strong leadership. We need to shut the government down if they don't want to shut the border down. I'm serious. It's not going to make us look bad. They won't stop the invasion of our country. They're the ones that are doing it to themselves. They will say no to border funding because they want the country to be invaded. Seriously? Like, if this is the way they're going to play, like, Biden's going to get completely trounced. It's going to be over. And that is almost a guarantee. So looking at it from that perspective, I would have to say this issue is a disaster for Biden. It's a gold mine for Trump. It's got to be utilized. I'm sure it will be utilized. I have faith in Trump to milk the border issue, utilize it to his advantage. But seriously, like, they're more upset that Trump is proposing some innovative solutions to the border than they're upset about what is happening to our country. Our country is absolutely getting invaded by millions of people. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're coming from. And it's a massive issue. We need to take care of our own citizens. We have inflation out of control. We have a job market that is not as good as they say it is. We have a lot of issues on our home front that need to be dealt with. Instead, Biden cares about letting the border stay wide open. Meanwhile, he's sending money overseas by the billions to these foreign conflicts that we really have no business getting involved in whatsoever. And the American people are waking up to that. They're realizing that. I would hope that's the case for, yes, a Donald Trump sizable victory. I think it's very possible. But without further ado, I think we got to get to the super chats. We're going to get to the call-ins as well. We'll get to a few of them for sure. But we need to get to the super chats because we have quite a bit of them. And I wanted to answer as many as we possibly can. Okay. Johnny Heartdog for 10 says the rumors of Democrats replacing Biden with Michelle are gaining traction. Even experts like Dick Morris are saying that could happen. Do you dispel them once again? Yeah, I do. I don't think it's viable. I mean, we've heard this how many times, and I'll believe it when I see it. But this whole, Biden's going to be replaced. I mean, it's currently almost February. The DNC is going to be in a few months, and the election's going to be in, 9 months? So they're running out of time to mount a serious campaign from the ground up. So, I mean, it's very possible that they could try to replace him or do something, but I'm not going to talk about it until I believe there's a serious chance that they do, because Biden seems adamant on running for re-election. And even when they pull Trump against some of these other Democrats, it seems as if Trump is still doing well. So we've heard about the Michelle Obama theory for decades now, or I guess the past 6 years before 2020. They said, oh, she's going to run. They're going to replace Biden with her at the convention. It never happens. It really never does. I don't believe she'll ever run for political office. I don't know if she will. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. But either way, I don't think it's worth talking about until we see something serious transpire. Same thing goes for all the people saying Biden's going to be replaced by Newsom, or Biden's going to be replaced by Harris, which I think would be the most likely course of action because she's actually the VP, even though she's unlikable and would get absolutely trounced by Donald Trump in an election. But Sam Madsen says new Wisconsin legislative maps come out on Thursday. Well, we'll look at them when they come out. Mitchell Ryan says, what do you think of WEF trying to take control of food supply? Do you think this would be possible? Well, I don't know exactly the ins and outs of it, but you can stock up for a disaster at preparewithredeagle.com. Get your survival food kits so you can, avoid something like that affecting the food economy. RZ the Legend says, how can I find the most up-to-date red and blue states map? Don't know much about politics, just don't like the SJW and communist types. Well, you can watch my channel. I do a prediction every single month. I will be doing one on February 1st, so you can watch that and you can get the insight. John Waffle H2 Pieces, I find it disgusting that our Border Patrol are too lazy to do their job. Well, in many cases, it's not that they're too lazy. They're getting overpowered, and they're not getting any help from the current administration. So, yeah. Horizons Bear says, I hope Ronna Romney resigns before the spring. Well, I don't believe it's likely to happen. But Red Politics 1776 says, Bel Air, Los Angeles for Trump 2024. Olivia Williams says, do you think the NFL is rigging the Super Bowl for the Chiefs? I don't necessarily... I think we'd have to wait until the game is played out. I think the Chiefs won every game they've played in the playoffs, at least fair and square. I think, Buffalo, unless they put something in the football to make the kick veer off to the right, I honestly think that Buffalo lost that game. I think that the Ravens sold as they usually do in the playoffs. But do I think that this year there's been probably some bias in favor of the Chiefs? Absolutely, there's been a bias in favor of the Chiefs. I think that the 49ers are still going to win the Super Bowl. I don't exactly think that it's all fixed. It's like the EF stuff where it's like you talk about these things. It's like you can beat it. There might be some bad calls, but you can beat it. I don't necessarily think that it's a foregone conclusion, even if the referees tend to be a little bit more Chiefs friendly. When the Lions played the Chiefs in week 1 of the season, there were a few calls that they made or a few no calls that I think the left tackle was holding Hutchinson the entire game, but it didn't really matter at the end of it. So David Zintara says in Michigan, Trump is up by 5.3% versus Biden in aggregate polls, which most Republicans would have written off as a blue state. Yeah, I think if the election was today, Trump would win Michigan. He's chasing those voters out there, and the state party is incompetent. That we know. They're in a leadership change right now, which is a good thing, but when it comes down to it all, I really think that Trump is the only person that can transcend this. This is not a midterm election slate of candidates. This is not a random special election where, turnout definitely matters. This is a state that's going to come down to Donald Trump. He's going to be campaigning there. You have to bolster your, blue-collar turnout. And Michigan's ground zero for that. Same thing with Pennsylvania. So I think Michigan very well would go to Trump if the election were held today. A lot could change, but I think it's not an accident. The polls are not an accident. And they may be off. I don't think they're intentionally off in favor of Trump, but we're going to talk about that with the callers pretty soon. M says, will you make a video about primary races? Where could you see the rhinos getting the boot? Nebraska Senate would be ground zero for that. Maybe some House races. Also, do you think the GOP could get a 60-seat Senate in 26 or 28? Probably not, just based off of the map. John Waffle H2 Pieces, we need to boycott the woke Super Bowl. Trump should do a rally that day. Well, it's not going to do anything, and a lot of these boycotts don't do anything. Some of them have been successful. We see the Bud Light stuff, but, everybody watches the Super Bowl for the most part. People, saying they're not going to do it, in many cases, end up doing it. And if they don't, it's not a majority of the population that's going to do it. I don't think the boycott is necessarily all that productive. I don't think we need to shy away from our institutions the way that some people think that we do. But still, it's like, it is a problem. with what's going on with the whole, woke capitalism thing, obviously. And when it comes down to the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing, because a lot of people are talking about it, and they're saying that this is a psyop because they're going to come out and campaign with Biden and it's going to help Biden win. Let me be clear when I say this. People don't care about celebrity endorsements. Taylor Swift endorsed Biden before 2020. She did a whole voter registration drive. It was a big deal. A study came out and it showed that it netted, in terms of just registrations, not even Biden votes, just registrations, 7,000 to 8,000. That's not enough to, change the outcome of a presidential election, whether you like it or not. I'm sure some of the people that signed up for the drive voted for Trump. I'm sure some of the people that signed up and registered didn't even vote. So all in all, in like each swing state, that's probably like a few hundred votes netted for Biden at most. Like, celebrity endorsements are not moving the needle. I hate to break it to people. They're just not, because if they did, Hillary Clinton would have destroyed Trump back in 2016. She was out there with LeBron James when he was winning the championship. She was out there with Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rihanna, Madonna, all these people, these big names. She was out there campaigning at concerts, but a lot of the people at the concerts left before Hillary spoke because they were just there for Jay-Z or whatever. Then they leave. They probably weren't even voting for Hillary. Some of the people at that rally probably voted for Trump. They just wanted to see the performance or whatever. So no, it's like the whole celebrity endorsement thing. It doesn't matter as much as people think. The people that are swayed by celebrity endorsements, they're the NPCs, mainly those who automatically vote for Democrats no matter what. That's just part of the way that these things work. Now, I will say this. I think that the psyop comes from people just going out there and making this a big deal and saying things like this, because what this does is it dictates the narrative. Now they're saying on CNN, look at all of these conservatives. They're coming up with this nonsensical conspiracy about Taylor Swift affecting the election. And honestly, it's like, they're not wrong. It is true that she's going to go out there and probably endorse Biden. She's going to campaign with Biden, but it's not going to move the needle. The psyop in and of itself is kind of this fixation of, let's not attack Biden. Let's not focus on the issues. Let's focus on attacking somebody who is relatively, a popular singer at the time. It's a non sequitur. It's something that is completely irrelevant. It's something that should be ignored completely. It's like people are already tired of seeing her face on, every 5 minutes they pan to her in the booth, and Travis Kelce's mom or whoever's in that booth at the Chiefs games. People are tired of it. If you look at the NFL comment sections, you look at Twitter, everybody is fed up. The bottom line is, it's like people just making this whole thing, she's gonna campaign with Biden, which probably might be true, but people complaining about it nonstop is very unproductive, because it's like, yeah, who cares? We know Biden's going to get these liberal celebrities to endorse him. Wow, shocker. Big deal. I mean, not everything's a psyop. It's not. Like, seriously. The way you stop it from affecting the election is stop talking about it. And that's it. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm telling people not to, and I don't think I really need to talk about it past that point. So don't fall for the double psyop is what I'm trying to say. So let's see here. More super chats. Olivia Williams says, I live in Pennsylvania, and I know a lot of people who either say Trump is going to win easily or who think the election is R-worded for Biden. What can I say to combat it? Well, just tell them to vote regardless. Say that, look at Biden's approval. Look at how hated Biden is. If we can't beat the F, then we don't deserve to win. That's the message we should tell people so they get out and vote, because they need to vote. We don't need people staying home. I don't really know how much of a turnout depressant it really is for people if they believe that, the results are going to be what they are no matter what. But seriously, we need to get people voting. We don't need to fall for this nonsense. We'll look at the results and then go from there. But you need to vote. There's no excuses not to vote. This is the most important election of our lifetime. You got to get out and vote. We don't need 4 more years of not having a border, not having an economy that functions for the majority of Americans. So Johnny Hart Dog says, I would think that with the most recent border issue, Arizona and Nevada would be more likely to move red, Texas safe red, and New Mexico more competitive. Well, there's not a lot of crossings in New Mexico, but in terms of it, moving those states to the right, I would agree that it is an issue that matters and it should be milked, especially in Arizona, which is going to be a very competitive state. I mean, you should see probably Yuma moves to the right, possibly some of those other counties down there. But even in Maricopa County, it's possible it could turn a corner because Biden's so hated. Biden was not on the ballot in the midterms. I'm sick and tired of people using the midterms as an excuse for why Donald Trump can't win. None of these other candidates can replicate Donald Trump's brand. None of these other, I like some of these candidates. I do. I think with Trump on the ballot, some of them would have a chance. I think Lake's got a shot to take the Senate seat, obviously. But to say that, because some candidates fell short in 2022, that Trump is doomed is ridiculous logic. It doesn't add up. The other candidates ran from Biden, and as a result, they stayed in the basement. It paid dividends for them. Parks in place. This is the left's open border policy has pushed me so far to the right, I could now argue we need no immigration at all. Close it all down, throw away the key. I agree. I think that you kind of have to. If you have all these people pouring in, why not have a 10-year full moratorium, net zero? People leave the country. You could replace those people with some people. People want to get married to, people in other countries, and, low numbers obviously doesn't happen that often. But yeah, those people can come in, whatever. But in terms of the whole, we have to keep the immigration rates where they are. No, it's not popular. It's really not. If you want to cut immigration, if Trump was in office and issued a 10-year or indefinite net zero moratorium, his approval rating wouldn't dip at all. Wouldn't dip at all. Seriously, people just don't care. Some liberals might get mad for a few days and then they'd move on. That's just how these things work. When you're wielding power, you have a lot more leeway. Red Politics 1776 says Taylor Swift must be defeated. Like I said, stop talking about it. That's how you defeat her. Just don't bring it up. Enough is enough. Most people are annoyed already. If conservatives are going to go out there and set this narrative of, tie her to Biden, but they just don't shut up about her instead of talking about Biden, it's going to hurt them. That's the only way that her supporting Biden is going to help Biden, is if people are fixated on the wrong thing instead of the issue at hand. And some people, even the people that I like, are just talking about it 24/7. It's like, no. Like I said, celebrity endorsements rarely move the needle, and just don't talk about it. Biden matters more. He's the real issue here. Not, this celebrity's going to endorse him. This is dumb. Celebrities are going to endorse the Democrats. Wow. More on this at 7, folks. Seriously. Olivia Williams says, what do you think about the Mayorkas impeachment? Should happen. Don't think there's enough votes for it to go through, but it should happen given what's going on at the border. Joseph Wiley says we shouldn't underestimate the unscrupulous Dems. They will use more dirty tricks in this election and do anything to hold on to power. I agree. I'm not looking at the polls and getting complacent. I'm saying this is a dogfight right here between Trump and Biden. This is not going to be a cakewalk. It's not. It could be, but not if you treat it like it is. Christopher Laurie says Oklahoma censured Langford for shilling for amnesty. It's a shame he wasn't. He was primaried. The primary challenger just fell short. Dova Budgie 100 says, I want to go to a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. How do I go about doing that? How do I know when it's happening? Thank you for your content. Well, you got to look at his website. I'm sure it'll be announced. He doesn't have any events on there. I checked today. But Trevor Hint says, as someone who lives in Nebraska, I would love to see Don Bacon primaried out. Dan Free is the challenger that I think has the best chance to do it. Well, Bacon might lose re-election regardless, so why not? Austin Lewis says, do you think that Republican early voter ballot harvest plan will work and help Republicans win? If it happens, it will help. I will say that much. If it happens, it will help. So we're 38 minutes in. We have a few people. We have a few people in the waiting room. And I think we got to bring some of these people in because I think it's time to take calls. I really do. It's time for the call-ins. If you guys want to call in, you can do so. You got to sign up for the Discord server, which you can join at redeaglepolitics.com. It's just $5 a month, 16 cents a day as well. But we have a big super chat first from Tucson PaleoCon with $50. saying, thoughts on Kari Lake getting booed at the AZ GOP meeting? Well, I've heard that it's subjective because, you take a video from a certain angle, you're surrounded by a more establishmentarian crowd. Yeah, it's going to happen. Make no mistake. Some people in the audience liked her, some people didn't. She's a very divisive figure within the AZ GOP. And as a result, people are upset because she proved that the chairman at the time was trying to bribe her not to run for Senate, which these are the same people that claim to be these McCain-principled Republicans, the principled conservatives, but they're okay with bribery. They're okay with doing things that are borderline illegal so long as the recipient of it happens to be somebody that they don't like. These people are not principled at all. They act no different than the left. And if they spent 5% of the energy that they spend attacking somebody like Lake, that they, spend that energy attacking Gallego, spend that energy attacking Biden, the country would be better off. They spend so much time attacking the wrong people. Now, thankfully, Lake actually has a good relationship with Senate leadership, which I think is a good thing. I think her being tied to Trump is also a good thing, because if Trump wins Arizona, I think she probably does win too. So it comes down to that. It doesn't even look like Sinema might even run at this point for re-election. I mean, she still technically could, but she's missing certain deadlines for certain things that would indicate that she's going to run. So it's her and Gallego. Gallego's a nutcase. Gallego's far left. He's a nut job. Why not attack him? They're doing the same thing to her that they did before the 2022 midterms. They spent more energy, time, and money attacking her. I think Lake spent $15 million the entire cycle running for governor. When you look at how much money was spent against her in the primary, it was the same amount. It's like, yeah, Hobbs didn't spend that much. We know that, but seriously, Hobbs didn't have to try because, A, 11th, 12th, and 13th hour stuff, but also the fact that the AZ GOP, big factions of it, happened to do everything in their power to oppose Lake. And as a result, look what happened. This is disastrous. But we're going to be taking calls. Thank you for the super chat. But we have 5 people in chat. We're going to be asking a simple question. It's what do you feel? Do you feel more confident or less confident than you felt a couple of months ago? And we're going to bring in, first of all, I want to start off the Verminator. I'll bring in the Verminator first because he's been waiting the longest. We'll bring him in first. So the Verminator, you are on the air. What's going on? He's muted.
Let me unmute real quick.
Oh, I can hear you.
Hey, Rep, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for putting out such great content on the website. Really makes me glad that I signed up for the membership. Great videos.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a good free advertisement too there, for sure. But I'm asking this one question to everybody, and it's pretty straightforward. Do you feel more confident or less confident than you feel, or than you felt a couple of months ago going into this election? You see Trump is winning these primaries by a lot. He's up in the polls, but does it feel a little too good to be true? I'm not saying the polls aren't like inflating Trump intentionally, but what I'm saying is, do you feel more or less confident than you felt a few months ago, and why is that?
Definitely more confident. I live in Florida, and we're not really a swing state anymore, thanks to Ronald, but talking to people, just like normal, everyday people, even the people that don't like Trump, they hate Biden. Even the people that are like, I can't stand Trump, I know come election day, they're not going to stand in line. They're not going to go out, in the snow or the rain and stand in line and vote for Biden just because they don't like Trump. I think even if it's not so much a situation where, everybody's just been convinced, we're wrong about Trump, he's the guy now. It's going to be more of they're so disillusioned with Biden and just how garbage the Democratic Party is that they're just not going to show up for him. Like the black turnout enthusiasm, like the enthusiasm numbers for the Democrats,
zero,
abysmal.
I mean, Georgia's free for the taking at this point. Just given what's going on there,
they gave the Georgia Democrat Party like $3 for advertising this cycle. So it's We're
They
going to run
know.
away with that.
Yeah.
And then even CNN's giving us Michigan. It's like, all right, well.
Well, what do they have? I mean, I think that Arizona is a state that they're going to try to focus on because it is very suburban. They want to capitalize on the, more McCain energy, even though I think it's overrated in the grand scheme of things there. But, I mean, yeah, I really feel as if when it comes down to it, Biden is more hated than Trump at this point. That was not the case before. And as a result, Trump has a clear path to victory, and he's got several. I mean, the map is wide open, and it feels like, you're not playing defense a whole lot, but you're playing offense. And, when you have a president that's unpopular, I think it's easier to do that in certain places, especially where you have black turnout dipping by a sizable amount, and you look at the whole picture, and obviously they're going to try a few things. They're going to try their voter registration drives, you name it, but all in all, yeah, I agree. So thank you for calling in. I know you waited the longest out of everyone in chat, so I appreciate it. And we're gonna go to the next caller here. Let's go to Magnanimous, the man who I believe Donald Trump put on his Truth Social one time. Magnanimous, you are in the On the Air channel. Are you there? Magnanimous? Okay. We'll give him a second to unmute. We'll give him a second. I don't know. He might be away. He might be away from the microphone. But last chance. Okay. Well, we'll go back to him if he's put something in chat. We'll go back to him later. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to Lartum. You're live. Lartum, are you there?
Yes, hold on. Let me mute the stream. That probably wouldn't be smart if that was running on the same device.
Yeah, I can't hear it, but you should be good. So I'm asking this one question to everybody who's calling in. Are you more confident about Trump's chances or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago? And why are you feeling that way?
Yes, I am. Honestly, I want to be cautiously optimistic because I feel like every time I get I say we're gonna win, that happened in 2022. I said we were gonna win.
All of us, yeah.
It didn't go well, but I'm being cautiously optimistic. I think that the way things stand right now, there's no way Biden wins in 2024, and if he does, you have these people saying, these delusional people on Twitter saying that, oh, he's gonna flip North Carolina, he's gonna flip Texas. No, you're just
and a lot
crazy.
of people on the right too. And I will reiterate this again. They don't represent a majority of even DeSantis supporters in the real world. I mean, these people are just terminally online, kind of election Twitter-esque, and they're very just they want Trump to lose. I really believe they want Trump to lose because they're just, I don't know, their boy lost in their primary or whatever, and they're kind of salty about it. But I mean, there's so much time before the election too. But I mean, yeah, I mean the floor is high. I don't think if he does go down, worst case scenario, you're gonna still get the states that he got in 2020.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I don't think that. I really don't think there's a path to a Trump wipeout. He's not going to, his movement's not going to go away regardless. But, this is a make or break election for this country. And I think a lot of people know that. I mean, people can't sit this out. People can't vote third party for sure. So I guess the gauge is you're more confident overall.
Yes, I'm pretty confident. And, the reason for that, because that's obviously, I feel like, what we're trying to get at here, the reason for that is just Biden, he's not approved on any issue that matters. He's underwater he's very disapproved on inflation, on crime, the economy, in general, they could say all they want, oh, Bidenomics works. And no, that's not what people are seeing. They go to the grocery store,
still
the prices
very costly.
going up. That's what they see. That's what they see. It doesn't matter what the line on the chart says, and, we have this thing going on with Texas at the border. That's been a complete dumpster fire for Biden. It doesn't matter what he does with the border at this point because, people can see right through it, or at least I'd hope so. And the only issue that like Biden can really energize any sort of turnout on is maybe
Abortion.
abortion,
There
just
you go.
because
Yep.
people, especially in the swing states, like I live in Pennsylvania, a lot of people here are they're either like pro-abortion or just like apathetic to the issue. Even a lot of the conservatives, I feel, just don't really care about the issue that much. But here's the thing, I mean, abortion, people, I feel like, accept the status quo of Dobbs, where it's a states issue. The blue states are gonna have their abortion, the red states are gonna ban it. I feel like most people accept that, and it's kind of going back to like how it was in 2020, where it was like the number 8 issue.
Yeah, I mean,
and even then,
it's
like,
not a federal issue, for one. And like even in places like Michigan, Democrats kind of overplayed their hand with the referendums too in a lot of these places, where it's not going to be as big of an issue in Michigan because there's nothing that they really can do. It's not a federal issue for the most part. And because it's not, Biden trying to run on it isn't going to work out so much as somebody like, Gretchen Whitmer as an incumbent governor running up against somebody who basically said that rape babies are a gift from God. I mean, that doesn't play too well to the electorate, whether you agree with that take or not. But anyways, thank you, Lardum. I appreciate the call. But we are going to move on here to our next caller. We're going to go to, let's go to, it only shows up as M, but I think it's Missouri something, because he's got a Missouri PFP. Missouri, you're live. We can hear you if you unmute, but you're live on the air. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so one question. Okay, I can hear a little bit of an echo. Is that because of the stream, or I don't think it's because of the stream, but I don't know. Never mind. It went away. So what I'm saying is are you more or less confident than you were a few months ago about Trump's election chances?
I would probably say slightly more confident than a couple months ago.
And what would your reasoning be that you're slightly more confident exactly?
I would say most part, I think most people are united behind Trump as the Republican nominee. Personally, I've seen at least one person's home that has like a big flagpole that I go by like every week. And used to have a thin blue line sign, and now they have a Trump 2024 sign. So I think we definitely kind of feel like we're going a general election mode and against Biden.
Yeah, we got a long way to go too. So it is. Flags and signs are kind of a little. They're not always the best predictor of elections, but when you see people start to pull them out, it kind of shows that. The vibe might be shifting. One way or another for a lot of people, and where their mind is at, and they're paying attention. So if the polls, if they've got them, in a good position now, and more people are paying attention, and that trend continues to be where it is, that means he's probably going to be in for a good shape. So, anyways, thank you, Missouri. Appreciate the call. Let's see. Do we have any more super chats as well? We have a couple more. Let's get to a couple super chats. Austin Lewis says, "What are your thoughts on the swing states, a Trump sweep?" It's possible. I don't know if he's going to pull off a full sweep and get the 312, which I think would be like the realistic high, but I think he gets close to it. Thomas Willingham says, so you think if Trump wins that the Biden administration will just say okay and let him in the White House? How extreme you think this will get? Well, that's a whole nother discussion. I would not be surprised if Democrats decide to do what Republicans did in 2020 on steroids, despite having less evidence, and they will try to do everything in their power to, I'm sure there's going to be protests. I'm sure there's going to be civil unrest. We disavow that. We don't call for that, obviously, but I would not be surprised if it did happen given the circumstances, because it seems like when you have a pendulum, it does shift in the other direction. Democrats protested, rioted after 2016, then you see protests and, 1/6 and whatever. Was it overblown by the media narrative? Absolutely, but still, it's crazy. Let's see here. Dove, a Budgie 100 says, what level subscription to call? It's 5 to call, although it is 10 for the priority, which we haven't fully. We're kind of incorporating it in. I'd like to set up another Discord call in the priority channels for it sometime before our next call-in stream. But it's just 16 cents a day, $5 a month to sign up for the website. I'll be dropping an exclusive video tomorrow, so website members do check out for, or do be on the lookout for that. All right, I'm going to try Magnanimous one more time, then we're going to try to get to some of these other callers. One more time, Magnanimous, you there? Is this your last chance? Are you still alive? You asleep? What's going on, buddy?
What's up? How are you doing?
He's alive. He's alive. There he is. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, I get it. It happens. But so I'm asking the question: are you more confident or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago? You look at the polls, you look at the primary results, etc. And why do you feel that way?
I would say I'm definitely more confident. The polls are looking great. I know polls in this country are kind of atrocious, but they're not 60 points off like the DeSantis campaign have been saying. But that's beside the point. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm pretty confident right now. I think Trump is definitely the favorite if the election were hypothetically held today. But, elections, like the real votes matter when it comes to elections. You've got to vote. We've got to act as if we are 10 points down, and we've got to keep investing in mail-in ballots and ballot harvesting to win the key swing states. I think it's very important. I think Wisconsin and Georgia are the two most important states that Trump has to win.
No, I agree. I mean, if he loses one of those, especially Wisconsin, it's going to be very difficult. Because if you're not winning Wisconsin, I think Pennsylvania...
because Wisconsin and Georgia will get called the earliest out of the key swing states. Pennsylvania and Arizona take ages to count the votes.
Arizona especially.
But I think whoever takes Wisconsin will win 2024.
Yeah, I mean, because if you win Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the odds are a lot higher. The whole Scranton-Joe facade it's not exactly where it was before. You look at his policy on everything. It's not working out for the average worker. And Trump is aggressively, altering his strategy from 2020. It's a lot more competent. He's chasing after the voters that he can win in these places, knowing that's where the election is won. It's these, Erie County. It's Scranton Trump maybe. That could be a thing. I don't know. But anyways, no, I agree. I think that a lot of people feel that way if they see what's going on. It's not a guarantee, and like you said, we're gonna have to work for it. We're gonna have to. Yep. There's no option, and if we don't work for it, then we won't get it. You can't take it for granted. I feel like a lot of people did take the midterms for granted, and it did not work out to the advantage of the Republican Party and thus America. So, anyways, Magnanimous, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. We're going to move on, though. Yep. We're going to go to, let's see here. We'll go to terms. Terms. Are you there? You're muted, but I'll give you a couple seconds. See if you're okay.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. So I'm asking a question to everybody calling in. Are you more or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago, and why do you feel that way? What's changed either way? Has anything changed? What's going on?
Well, I guess one of the previous callers said this, but I guess I'm cautiously optimistic because we have to remember, too, Trump, he's going to be working with some of the most incompetent people in politics, and he has to kind of overcome their incompetence, and they're probably going to be trying to sabotage his campaign again. But I'm cautiously optimistic, maybe a little nervous, but I think he's definitely the favorite.
So you probably are the first caller that you would probably say you're a little bit less confident or about the same, or where would you gauge the meter there?
Probably, yeah, and probably a little less confident, but definitely still the favorite.
So you think he's going to win, but you don't trust the people around. I mean, that's valid. I think that's fair. I mean, I honestly see who's around him now and compare to who's around him 4 years ago, and I think that the people around him have gotten a lot more competent, but I feel like a lot of the state Republican parties and a lot of those people in Republican leadership have gotten less competent at the same time. So I think it's a little bit of a wash in that regard personally. But I mean, it's a valid take. I mean, people being nervous, people should be a little bit nervous regardless. I think that's kind of what we need. We need the spark under us so we could go out there and actually get this done and win. But anyways, thank you, Terms, for calling in. We're going to go to Rusty. We're going to go to Rusty Rick. Rusty Rick, you are on the air. Are you there?
What's up?
Okay, Rusty Rick, we got a question for you. We're asking all the callers today. Are you more confident or less confident about Trump's chances for 2024 over the past couple of months? What's exactly changed? You got anything for us on why it's changed? You can have the floor.
I think the best thing that's been going for Trump right now is the failure of Bidenomics. Biden's pretty much had 4 years to rebuild an economy and he hasn't done anything about it. And that really is for the normies. A lot of these normies are going to go out there and see the Democrats are trying to take your Zins, and that's going to really turn out the young people to vote, the young frat bros, quote unquote. And then you're going to get all like the older millennials that can't afford a house that are going to be like, I'm done with this stuff. I want the freedom cities that Trump has talked about and that sort of thing.
So you think that Trump is going to have a better shot because of the Zin? So Biden going out there or Democrats attacking Zins, you think that's going to help Trump with younger voters? Because I honestly think that when it's what it comes down to is this is an issue, because when Trump raised the age of nicotine from 18 to 21, that's not going to impact a lot of people, because a lot of young voters are still over 21, or they happen to know people that are. They can get access to these things, whether it's through savory means or not. But when it comes down to the whole, if you ban or if you're attacking the product as a whole, you do have like a subculture, very, very like pro-nicotine subculture. I don't know if it started with Tucker Carlson or if he popularized it, but it seems like you do possibly have something's going on there potentially. I'll leave it at that.
Earlier in the Biden administration, they completely banned Juul pods and Juul itself, and so then pretty much what ended up happening is these Chinese companies just came in and just took up the market. So when you're Trump's advisor looking at that situation, are you gonna really let the same thing happen with another nicotine product, where China can just come in and pretty much, make all these cheap products that explode in people's mouths and stuff like that? I think that they will continue to make American-made Zins that are made in Kentucky and continue this trajectory.
All right. Well, anyways, thank you. Appreciate the call. Seems like we have a little bit of a Zin salesman there for some reason. All right. Let's go to, let's see, who's been waiting the longest? Oh, well, Blue Wig. We'll have Commander, I believe. Call in. Commander, are you there? It's been a while.
Hello.
Hey, so we're asking a question. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I'm asking a question to everybody. I'm sure you know. Are you more or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago, and why exactly do you feel that way?
Well, I think it's just too good to be true that Trump's up by so much. I just can't see how Trump could win the popular vote with states like California.
You don't think he can win the popular vote at all, or are you saying that the polls are inflating his nut? Because it's possible that he could still win it if he doesn't win it by 4.
Well, based on the primary polls, Trump underperformed in New Hampshire, and that doesn't make me confident at all. I would be more comfortable if Trump was outperforming his primary poll numbers.
So if he outperforms the polls in South Carolina, would you be more confident then? Because I feel like the reason why the polls were wrong in New Hampshire was mainly because of the fact that they underestimated the amount of crossover support. So, I know South Carolina is also an open primary, but I don't anticipate as much crossover. But if you talk about a state...
Yeah. South Carolina, because of black voters, I doubt they would cross over.
Yeah, I feel like they would be less likely overall to take a Republican ballot, depending on what happens. And there's just less Democrats in South Carolina. It's a red state. But so you're saying you're less confident, but maybe if you see some more metrics like Trump overperforming certain polls in certain states, you think it'd make you change your mind a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fair, and I've thought about that as well. I don't really know if the polling errors always carry over, but anyways, thank you, Commander Video, for calling in. All right. We've got a few more people. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to everyone, but I'm going to try. Let's see. We have more people sending super chats. Wyatt says, don't you think it's a waste of time to even look at polls this early? They're going to do some stuff to make Trump look bad in October. Well, the polls will matter more then, but it is weird that if you look at polls in January or February, they tend to be the most accurate polls. If you look at 2016, 2020, just going back in terms of the total popular vote. But yeah, I mean, it's true that they're just a snapshot in time. We don't know who's likely to turn out. There's a lot we don't know. But if you're up by this much, you gotta feel good, but you don't want to be complacent either. So John Waffle says, random question, is the alternate election series dead? I don't believe that it's dead. I just think that I haven't had like a reason to do one. There's so much news going on that I don't have a lot of time for like novelty content. But when it comes down to it, like, yeah, I'm going to be doing a big special on February 6th because it'll be our 5-year anniversary. But I can't promise that it's going to be an alternate election series, but you guys will like it. It will be somewhat nostalgic if you've been a long-time viewer. The Mid-Atlantic Crusader says, been doing any vids on any House primary soon? I am probably going to do some videos, not on individual House primaries, but maybe on House primaries as well, or what the target seats are. Austin Lewis, is Glenn Youngkin as VP? Can he bring in independent voters? I don't think he'd be the worst choice possible, but at the same time, I don't think he's on Trump's radar, and I don't believe that he would want the position. Dova Budgie says, what's the Discord? I'm trying to figure out how to call. Well, let me see. Okay. Yeah, I'll verify you, and you can find it. There you go. You should be able to now. Because we get people joining, we got to get people in. So, all right. Let's see. Any more calls? Because we still have more. I mean, we've only been on for an hour and 7. We still got ways to go, I guess. No rush. We'll go live to Nick Adams, fake Nick Adams parody account. You are live, fake Nick Adams. Are you there?
I am here, Mr. Red Eagle.
Okay, I don't have to do the accent, but whatever. You can keep the LARP going. So we're asking a question. Are you more confident or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago, and why exactly do you feel that way?
I am more confident, but that has me suspicious at the same time. I was not expecting the polls to be this good at this stage, at this moment in time. I do expect them to dip, obviously, as the season progresses more and more. As more stuff will come out, people will think, oh no, Trump again. Oh no, can we really do this? But I think they're going to quickly realize, yeah, Biden's too bad. Biden is just too bad. I think we're seeing this. I mean, Snoop Dogg, of all people, who's been vehemently anti-Trump, is now out on board pretty much entirely with MAGA train. So
yeah, we see a lot of people. I mean, even Chris Cuomo and some of these other people are at least open to it. I feel like that has to be, reflected somewhere. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens when it's all said and done. But yeah, anything else? Or did I cut you off, or were you saying?
Oh no, I mean that's pretty much in line with what I was saying. Is I do think ultimately Biden has just been disastrous by and large. There's always going to be those people that are going to be never Trump, and in which case they got to question. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a small amount. I'm talking more so independents or Democrats. Yep. I don't think they're going to be swaying regardless. But I think there's a good amount of independents out there and first-time voters that just say, hey, my future is ahead of me, and I can't really afford a house right now. The
That's a
economy
big
is not
issue,
really
too.
good, and the only thing that is going to be preventing that is Joe Biden in office for another 4 years. I think if Trump comes into office, you look at what he did in 2017 to 20, and if, economically speaking, that was a massive plus for the country. There was not really a whole lot of negative in that side whatsoever, barring 2020 due to the pandemic. But I don't really think that was in Trump's hands as much as people want to try and claim. But ultimately, I think Trump has the momentum going. But sorry to put you down, buddy, but like the Detroit Lions, you got to finish the lead. You can't just, you can't just have a great first half and then blow it in the second half. So I think Trump, he's got the great first half lead now, but what he can't do is just collapse and squander it. So I think his VP could be crucial, but we'll see. I think regardless, people are going to vote for him in droves. I don't think it's going to be like some massive blowout, but I could see him getting near, maybe over 300 in the Electoral College. So we'll see. We've got a great year ahead of us. We just got to hope that it finishes strong.
All right. Well, thank you, Fake Nick Adams, for calling in. And it is true. I mean, the housing issue is a whole nother animal that isn't talked about a lot, but it's 100% true because people can't afford homes. The interest rates are out of control. Even if the economy is improving in some metrics for some people, for a lot of people, it's not. I mean, it's insane what's going on. Inflation slowing down doesn't mean it's gone away. And Biden has done nothing to stop the crisis. They can try to shift the blame to Trump, but when Biden's approval is down 30 on the issue, it's not a winning issue for you in any way. Trying to blame Trump just seems like it's lazy. Biden's been there how many years in office? Almost 4 years. So it's crazy. All right, we have a couple people. I want to get to everybody, but we'll go to On Point Politics right now. On Point Politics. You are on the air. What's going on? So, I'm asking everybody the question. Are you more or less confident about Trump's chances, and why do you feel that way than you were a few months ago?
1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Loud and clear, buddy.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Now I can hear you now.
Oh, you
sorry
can hear?
about that.
Okay.
So you're asking
did you hear the question?
I've been watching, so I know the question. So if you're more confident about Trump's chances, to be completely honest, I don't even know where to start. The polling data looks really good. He's been on message. Biden's approval rating is like second to Jimmy Carter's is like disastrous approval rating. So in terms of the metrics, Trump's got everything in his corner, but the only problem that he really has is that there is the half of the country that just votes blue because no matter what kind of thing. So I feel
Carter
like Trump could play. Excuse me?
I was saying Carter didn't, and that is true. Carter didn't have that working in his favor.
No, he did not. And so that's what's really going to help Biden. I think right now, Trump's absolute floor is probably 243. There's no chance. It's basically going to be mathematically impossible for Biden to win Wisconsin. Even if Biden wins in a scenario where Republicans get complacent, Trump's polling numbers just dip, he will not win Wisconsin. And Georgia is slowly approaching to be that state where it's going to be the second in the column, where it's going to be impossible for him to win it again, which gives Trump
black voters is a big one, yeah.
Exactly. And I think even if Biden does surge back up, he won't match his 2020 numbers. His turnout will not be 81 million votes. It's going to be impossible. That's not going to happen again. And for those people on Twitter that say that Taylor Swift is going to somehow win Biden the election, that has to be one of the most ludicrous things I've ever heard in my life. Like, the media is pushing out, 20% of voters will vote for Biden if Taylor Swift says so. Like, come on.
Well,
get out of here.
Yeah, and the other side of that poll showed, I think it was 20% said more likely, 17% said less likely, the rest didn't care. It's not moving the needle. The only way...
Not, because most people who would vote, most people are Taylor Swift fans who would vote for Biden were already going to do it regardless. Like, it's not going to happen.
The only way, there's two ways that the Swift stuff could impact the election's outcome. And one would be if you have too many people on the right fixating on that instead of Biden's issues at hand.
Yeah, of course.
And, or if she, which is not going to happen, but it would be hilarious, endorse Trump. Because that actually would be kind of like a big just earthquake to a lot of people's minds. But yeah, it's not going to impact the election whatsoever. We need to kind of just move on from it. I think after the Super Bowl, people are going to talk about it less. It's just the way that the news cycle works. And I mean, she'll campaign with Biden. I'm sure a lot of celebrities campaigned with Hillary Clinton. It did not help raise her favorables.
No, that did not work out. She thought that getting LeBron James on her corner in 2016 was going to help her.
Loses Ohio by 8.
Yeah, like she was one of the most disingenuous people that had ever ran for president. And at least Biden went into 2020 with some face of like, oh, he's a cool grandpa, Uncle Joe kind of thing to some people. Now he completely lost that. Now he's like how Shane Gillis says it in his comedy show. He's like the dog that's like 16 years old when you go to your friend's house and you see and you're like, oh, there he is. Like, yay. It's like that now.
Yeah. That's perfect analogy. Perfect analogy.
That's exactly. I think what Trump needs to do, stay on message. Because Trump, funny enough, has actually been more presidential this cycle than ever before. Way more presidential.
He's under all these indictments. They're throwing everything they can at him. It has not changed anything. It has not moved the needle whatsoever.
It's actually helped him. And it's crazy how, like, back then in, like, 2008, John Edwards, who was supposed to be the VP for... Not 2008, 2004, I'm sorry. He was supposed to be the VP for John Kerry. And I don't know if it was before or after the election in 2004, but it got outed that he had an affair. And
that was 08. Because he was in consideration to be Obama's VP, and then boom.
That destroyed his whole political career. Just that one thing.
Yep.
I don't even know if it was confirmed or not, but the fact that it even got stated, oh, it was? Well, it completely catered. But Trump has had everything thrown at him. But the reason why I feel like he gets away with that kind of stuff is because he doesn't frame himself as a picture-perfect politician. He purposely says, oh, I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman. He does it on purpose so that, like, electorally, all the, like, things that would hurt a politician don't hurt him because his voters don't associate him with being a politician. That's the key thing.
And he brought the star power that was able to allow him to do that and get away with it, because a lot of people that try to replicate it, they just can't exactly do what he does. He is a once in a lifetime candidate, and there may be other ones in the future.
Of course, later on. Because you know what's funny? I don't think in 2028, besides Vivek, the nominee will not be anybody. Vivek is probably going to be one of the only people who would have a chance at winning the nomination. There's going to be a new person that gets thrown in 2028. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be somebody comes out of nowhere, maybe a Tucker. I have a few in mind. I think Dana White would actually be somebody that I think would consider running, like, maybe later on.
Isn't he the guy that just got outed for a lot of scandals or something?
No, that's not. That's
McMahon.
That's McMahon. No, definitely not him. No, Dana White, I think, could be a pretty considerable choice. I think the best pick for Trump's VP this year would either be Lee Zeldin or Ben Carson. Either one is perfect.
Yeah, they wouldn't get in the way of the agenda, and they wouldn't get in anyone's way of 2028. I don't think Carson would run. Zeldin might, but I don't think he'd have a chance.
I think Trump should pick somebody that is not going to be the direct 2028 front runner. I think he should try to balance it out. Like what he did with Pence in 2016, like he balanced it out, but we all know what happened with that guy.
No, I agree.
But I feel like he needs to pick somebody to balance it out. I mean, hey, if he picks Vivek, which I doubt he is, but if he picks that's like, I would be fine with that.
Well, I'd be fine. I mean, it's a little bit of a gamble for sure, but I mean, I think a lot of people in Trump's base, like, you're not going to lose any support in the his primary support for it.
You know what's funny about the whole DeSantis thing that I just thought was like, are you serious? Like, he ran the worst campaign in history, and then all the shills online, oh, Nikki Haley's gonna be Trump's VP. Oh my God, like, guys, like, he's gonna, like.
And that's why they ran the worst campaign in history, because that
was terrible. And like, it didn't even feel, DeSantis's campaign felt like the SNL version of what his campaign would have been.
Yeah, they
That's
became
when it feels
caricatures,
bad.
and now DeSantis
Yeah,
is
they
actually
did.
like
Yeah,
after
he
the
actually
campaign,
is
he's
campaigning
been
better. He's
better,
campaigning better than
surprisingly.
what you
Yeah,
said.
like where was
He's
this? And
campaigning better.
the
Yeah, he's
donors
campaigning
sway a
better than
lot.
when he did back then.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
for sure.
hilarious.
But
Oh yeah, the whole
anyways,
donor thing is terrible.
yeah, but appreciate the call on Point Politics. Very informative stuff there. Appreciate it. We're gonna
Rep,
move
I'm about to hit 3K, by the way. I'm
on
almost
YouTube.
there. Yeah, I'm almost there.
Well, hopefully we can get you there. Everybody should check out On Point Politics. I think you did a reaction video reacting to
I did.
one of mine or some other people's predictions too today.
Did a bunch of people's. I did a bunch of people. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but it's informative content, good content. Appreciate it. But we are gonna move on to some of the other callers.
All right,
but
man.
thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
No problem. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. We'll go to let's see. We have people that have been waiting for a long time. We have, I think, 3 people or 4 people that we can get to before. Let me see if we have any more super chats. I don't believe we do. But yeah, 900 people watching. Like the stream. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the bell. We're going to keep going even though we're an hour in. But I think that we're going to lock down the live waiting room. We have 4 calls left. So if you join after now, well, your call is probably not going to be answered. But we're going to go live to, let's see. We'll go to D. I think this is the Dova guy. I could be wrong. D, or is this Dova? You're on the air. You turn the stream down in the background. I can hear it.
All right, I got it.
All right, so we're asking the question tonight. I'm sure you know. Do you feel more or less confident about Trump's chances than a few months ago, and why exactly do you feel that way? What's your take on it?
So my take is definitely, like, I'm feeling a lot better about this, like, especially from watching, I forget how many streams ago it was, but I remember I did a super chat and I asked about, like, I won't use the R word, but I asked about, like, how that might affect this coming election. And to me, it, like, right now, just seeing this overall outpouring of support, like just talking to friends, just talking to people at work, like, just anyone I speak to, like the support's just there. So I'm excited about this election. I really am. I think this is going to be a blowout, honestly. And, like, I'm voting in PA, hoping PA is going to turn bright red,
because that's a big prize right there. It's the most expensive swing state per se in terms of the electoral votes, for sure. I mean, Pennsylvania,
absolutely.
But
and, like, it's great too, because I have just in my local area that I live in, just driving up the road, just like the massive Trump, like not just like road signs like you typically see in the yard or something like that. Like we're seeing like these literal, like, lack of a better term, like shrines or whatever the hell you want to call them. But, like, like there's like this guy, he has like a car set up with Trump driving it, pulling a freaking trailer with Hillary Clinton and Biden and all of them in the back in a jail cage. Like, there's just like these big posters all the way up the roads and whatnot. It's great to see. And, like, I know, like, my area, it's definitely bright red, and it just to be able to see this support coming from everybody nearby me, it's got my confidence high for sure.
All right, well, I mean, that's good to hear, especially in a state like Pennsylvania where those electoral votes are definitely going to be a big pull for Trump. He gets Georgia, he gets Pennsylvania, it's game over. I mean, there's nothing else Biden can do at that point to really get a leg up on Trump. So I appreciate the call. But we will move on. We'll move on to R or something. I don't know. Discord is kind of getting weird with the names. I don't know what the username is, but it's got the Texas PFP. You're on the air, R something. Are you there?
Yes, this is Real Texan Politics.
Oh, you're Real Texan Politics. Okay. So Real Texan asking the question, are you more or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago. Mainly this would be, I guess for you, it's the state of Texas, which Democrats are delusionally thinking they can win. But what's your take on the election in terms of your general vibe?
Well, we just got a poll from University of Houston that came out this morning showing Trump up by 9.
I saw.
Actually doing better than Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley only leads Biden by 4 in Texas.
Yeah,
I
Texas
do want to
is
bring this
changing a
conversation
lot in that regard. I don't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say, because it's weird because Texas, the old guard Republicans, the Bush, McCain, Romney, they did well, but nowadays it's changed, and it feels like Trump in a lot of these polls is outrunning people like Haley and DeSantis, etc. But go on.
I was going to mention there was I'm not sure if you've already been. I don't know if this has been brought to your attention during the stream because I joined a little late, but there was this recent video that came out. I can't really explain it probably the way that I should because of YouTube, but it does seem like there was this guy that basically unalived his father, and looks like the media is going to be using this against us. So I'm wondering how you think this will affect the race, at least in the short term.
Wait, what are you mentioning?
I don't know if you're aware of this, but there was a video of a guy, he had basically beheaded his father and then said something about the Biden regime.
I mean, it seems like we see this every election cycle. There's somebody that does something that's, egregious, and the media will tie something political into it, whatever. I mean, these people don't really represent the average voter or the supporter of a candidate. I think people on both sides understand, or these independent voters understand, that you got crazy people just in general, and that's true. So I doubt it moves the needle. I'm not saying that it's guarantee. I'm not going to say that it's guaranteed that Trump wins, but I don't think that if he goes down, it's going to be something like that that's going to hold him back.
I think the media will basically be on our butt for the next few days or weeks, but I don't think
it'll fall out. I mean, even like things.
I think there was a Facebook post from him that was uncovered where he actually called for Trump to be thrown in prison. So he's not actually the MAGA guy, but
they're crazy people, is what they are. A lot of these people, if they're crazy to do this, they're not like concise political experts or whatever. They're just lunatics who say one thing or say another thing. Sometimes they bring politics into it. Sometimes they don't, whatever. But I mean, so do you say more or less confident? You say more confident overall?
I'm pretty confident. I think a lot of it is I think a lot of leftists just not showing up because of Palestine. That's probably what's going to give us the election.
Well, it's possible. We'll see how prevalent it is in the news by then too, but it's weird. I always say this, when you have a conflict like this and you see both people on the pro-Israel and the pro-Palestine side, they're both either moving right or just hurting the Democrats inadvertently. It's interesting to see that happen one way or another. But anyways, I appreciate the call, Real Texan Politics. We're going to move on to Ender Dog Zone. Ender Dog Zone, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. So we're asking the question, I'm sure you know, more confident or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago, and why do you feel that way?
Yeah, you know what? I don't really consider myself too much of an optimist, and kind of ties in with my question. Concern of mine is, I'm not sure if this was brought up in the stream. I also kind of showed up a little late. But my concern is a lot of these projections of his Trump getting this popular vote might be from him galvanizing votes in states that don't matter as much, like California or New York. I heard he's improving in some of those states like that. So my concern is that he...
Well, yeah, I think it would have to come from that largely too, but go on.
Exactly, and that's cool and all. It's nice to see him get more votes, but I'm not sure how much that's going to contribute to an actual election victory as where the states that actually matter. I know he still has good numbers there, but I suppose I'm
less
2020
optimistic, you say?
Yeah, 2020 kind of broke my heart. So I'm
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
PTSD. It's clear. I mean, even the midterms were a big fire festival on many fronts.
Yeah.
I don't think that they indicate 2024 as much as some people. But would you say more or less confident, or you're just unsure but you're nervous?
I'm pretty close to the middle. I guess I lean towards a Trump victory, but I won't be surprised if either happens.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair take. I think that it's going to be close. I think we're going to have to work for it. I think the popular vote, moving towards the right does in fact come from the big states as well. I mean, if he's gaining in Florida, he's gaining in California, he's gaining in New York, he possibly even could gain in Texas. But yeah, it does come down to Pennsylvania, Georgia, Wisconsin, Nevada, Michigan, Arizona, you name it. And I think that's where the election's going to be won. I also think it's where Trump's going to focus on, and in pretty much every state except I think a couple of polls in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, Wisconsin's known for bad polling. He's in good shape in those states, but yeah, I can't take it for granted. I mean, this has got to be a hard-fought election for sure. So anyways, I appreciate the call. We are going to move on. I think we're going to take one more call. This will be the last call for Super Chats, though. We have 856 live viewers. So like the stream. Let's get the likes up. Let's hit 700 likes at least, if not even 750. If we have any more Super Chats, any more questions for me, feel free to send them in as well. We will get to, I think we have one more caller left as well. But any Super Chats, this will be the last call for them as well, just to make sure we don't have people sending them in past the stream end and then they can't see them. But, I mean, it seems like from a majority of the calls we have a high level of confidence. It seems like people are looking forward to a Trump victory, and they understand that it's not going to come easy, but they feel like the real possibility of it is there. They feel more confident, which is not a bad thing. Confidence and optimism are not the same thing as complacency. They can lead to one another, which is not a good thing. But I don't think the majority of people are complacent after seeing 2020 and 2022. But you have a lot of people that happen to be on the, Democrat side of things and some of these other never-Trumpers that are so smug. Are they getting overconfident? Are they the ones getting complacent? Are they saying the polls are off by 10 points and just not exactly caring? I mean, this is a real question. A lot can change. You could say that Biden will start campaigning and his numbers will go up, which, again, he doesn't have anything to campaign on. You could say they'll use abortion as a wedge issue. Fine, they're going to try. I mean, they need one wedge issue. All candidates tend to have one or another, but still. We have more Super Chats. Mitchell Ryan says, can Trump appeal the verdict? I think he's already appealing the verdict in the Carroll case. I don't think he's going to owe a cent of it before the election either way because of how he's going to appeal it. So that's not going to cripple him, at least in the short term. In the long term, it might, but the guy's got money. I mean, he's still a billionaire. You can't exactly deny that, even though he's lost net worth since running for office, which is virtually unheard of in politics. But that's the way it is. Olivia Williams says, why would you be against Trump running in 2028? I don't think he would run because, first of all, that would mean he loses. And if you can't beat this administration, I really question your ability to go out there and defeat one of these up-and-coming Dems when you would be seen as somebody who's like an insta-beat from the other side, and it would just be getting out of hand at that point. I know Trump doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to. He's not going to run again. He's going to be 82. I don't think he's going to lose, so I'm not worried about it. And there's also going to be other options on the table. But I don't think he would want to run in the first place in 2028. I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it either. So let's see. Based Cato says, thoughts on the Cori Bush DOJ investigation. I heard about it today, and honestly, I don't know much about it. It's possible they're just trying to throw her under the bus because they know she's a nuisance. There's nothing else to it. I don't think that they might be trying to do it to say, oh, well, look at us. We're being fair. We're investigating our own. But in reality, they're just trying to limit somebody who they know is a nuisance and they know is a punching bag that the other side likes to use. So it's not really that telling. Dova Budgie 100 says, that was sick. Thanks for the call. Well, thank you for calling. Thank everybody for calling. We had a lot of great calls tonight. Polite Rude Guy says Biden can win if he does his job. He won't. That's true. I mean, I'm sure they're going to try something on the border before election time. They have to. But when it comes down to it, it's going to seem very fake and disingenuous, and I don't know what they can really do to help him because they still let this crisis is a massive scandal, and it persisted, 3.5 years of his presidency. Even if he changes course, it's not going to really it's not really going to save face as much as he would be able to think. That's why they're doubling down on it instead, which is ridiculous. And if they get away with it, I don't really know what to say at that point. Polite Rude Guy also says if they screw Trump again, it's Texit or Trump 28. Well, like I said, I don't think Trump 28 is going to happen, but Texit, yeah, it's also probably not going to happen, but you never know. So anyways, that's it for Super Chats for now. If you guys want to send them in, we might be able to. One more caller. We have none other than the stream moderator / frequent long-term caller. Lalo is here. He's in the building. What's going on?
Yo, what's up? What's your question that you've asked every single other person thus far?
That I'm sure you already know very well. But, right. All right, yeah, here we go. So, are you more confident or less confident about Trump's chances than you were a few months ago? And why do you feel that way? What do you see going on? What is the vibe check over, in the state of Arizona, another swing state? We've had Texas callers, we've had Pennsylvania, we've had all around. What are you seeing in the great southwestern battleground?
So if we look at the Grand Canyon, one of these great wonders of the world, we see a chasm and an utter ravine. That's basically an analogy for the gap between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in this upcoming election. Where previously, and just overall, just looking at this great chasm, just a big gap. You've never seen this before. We've seen Donald Trump run the board almost in 2020 when he was down 4% of the popular vote. We're looking at a guy leading by 1 or 2. And there's no way it's just consolidated in California. Right. Okay, so he's leading by a lot. And, at that point, how the hell is Biden going to win? Also, keep in mind, when Joe Biden was on the ballot in 2020, his favorability was about neutral and Trump's was negative. Now they're both in the mud. And I think Trump is the stronger pig. And, if you're looking at that, then it's pretty obvious that Joe Biden has no more lipstick to put on the pig, which is his administration. What is the playbook? At this point, he's getting older. He's atrophying. Basically, the defense is running out of steam. He cannot, the press... Who's sweeping it up for him? Before you had a hot blonde in Kayleigh McEnany. Now who do you have? You have nobody knows, some Caribbean name. You've got Jen Psaki before that, all forgettable. We're looking at the roster of Democrats. You have a dollar store Patrick Bateman and Gavin Newsom, who got destroyed by DeSantis. It's a mess. When we're looking at other places, we're looking at the swing states. We're not seeing any sort of big grassroots presence at all for the Democrats. Even when we're looking at Arizona, the Democrats aren't even funding these people, these grassroots canvassers or whatnot, are paying less than the Republicans. You think the Democrats are big money? Apparently, a handful of billionaires with the GOP is doing just fine.
Well, they've been raising money like crazy in some of these state parties. I know that, but you're saying that they've got a volunteer shortage, or that they're not getting the competitive pay, or
True.
Okay,
Let's think of Joe Biden's strongest soldier, and we're not talking about some fentanyl addict at Arby's. We're talking about somebody such as Harry Sison. We're talking about these, gender-neutral people that are basically Destiny fans, and they somehow, through their Adderall prescription or whatever else is conducing them to speak the way they do, they talk in this fast manner, are indecisive in their thoughts, and they basically communicate a message of that Joe Biden's their president. That makes no sense to anybody with 2 testicles. And mind you, we have a president right now with an approval rating in the 30s. We're talking about a guy who cannot string a sentence together, who will probably not debate Donald Trump, and that just in overall broad strokes is not going to paint well with the electorate. We're talking about an electorate who just barely voted him in with no enthusiasm. Now it's negative enthusiasm. Everybody hates. I mean, they hate Donald Trump, but at least some people love him. The people that hate Joe Biden, there's nobody who loves Joe Biden. And as one of your callers before, and you have the greatest callers, by the way, one of these brilliant people said, yeah, so true. So these teenagers, they're smart because they go and they said, you know what? Uncle Joe is no more, he has no riz. Hunter Biden's at least kind of cool and evil. Joe Biden's just straight up evil. Just think about it that way.
It's true.
Kamala Harris has the reception to the American people as like a cockroach does to light. I mean, it's like she's trying to appease everybody, trying to show up in front of everybody's face. It just really doesn't work. And when we're talking about this election, we're talking about one in which the funding gap won't be as big. When we're talking about this upcoming election, we're speaking in the real vicinity of a turning point for this country. We're talking about an administration of which is going to be staffed with nothing but the best people going forward. You're
better than last time.
Yes. We're coming in with basically foreknowledge. Imagine if you could start a game knowing the result, knowing what play to run. At that point, going on fourth down and other stupid decisions won't bite you in the ass. So when we're talking about Donald Trump, he's going to bite the kneecaps off the swamp. The alligators, they're going to be seething, mauling. He's pouring salt in that swamp. They're going to have to cry all the way down through DC. It's looking really pathetic. And when we're talking about the positivity, we're talking about a base that does not want to vote any more than ever before. We're talking about enthusiasm through the roof. There's no bigger distinction between a guy who's vivacious in his 70s versus a guy who's turned down and bickered out and basically a light that has died in Joe Biden's mind in his 80s, okay?
It's like a brownout.
Oh, yeah, it's a brownout. It's tough.
Yeah.
People are just...
There's no light. It's just barely there. Barely. It's not...
Real.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, really personality-wise, is feeling like that stuff between a couch cushion. It's really just something you don't want to deal with. And so there's really no article. There's no way that you cannot be confident for this election. And if Trump does lose this election, then just give up. Because you even made the point. In 2028, if you lost to Biden, how the hell are you even going to justify that? I mean, it's literally we make it or we die at this point politically. It is insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, you have a guy in there who is just not liked, and his coalition's not sustainable. It was never sustainable. And now that he's been in office and the country has gone down the drain, people realize that he doesn't have the support. Trump is somebody that is polarizing, but I think enough people would want him back to the point where I think he is the favorite, and that's what all of the data is showing. So, anyways, okay, go on.
I was going to say, let me give the devil's advocate position, right? So let's come up, I'm Alan Dershowitz, I'm a millionaire lawyer. Okay, let me defend Joe Biden. What is the copes in 2024? You have an economy that is doo-doo. You have fake stats. People be like, unemployment's lower than Trump. Just say that out loud. See how it feels. Say that with your chest, Biden supporters. Really? The unemployment's not as bad as it was under Trump? How does that even make sense? Why is the economy so stagnant? Why is inflation and interest rates so bad? It literally makes no sense. They're making numbers. They're pulling it out of their rectum, and it's like they're hiding a prison shiv in there. I mean, it's just disgusting to think about. Then when we're considering other factors, okay, so what are the defenses? Well, Joe Biden's going to run on what? Stability? What stability? We're talking about foreign policy wins. Which ones? And when you're talking about what, an infrastructure act, have we seen any of this infrastructure being constructed? You could say, well, the funding's there. It'll be done in 10 years, but will Joe Biden be alive to tout and cut the ribbon at the bridge?
Statistics show otherwise, yeah.
Right, and so nobody's going to care viscerally. When we're talking about the people that drink beer and work construction and voted for Biden in 2020, do we see these Fetterman voters coming out for Joe? They're not.
Nope.
And when we're talking about things he'll run on, okay, what is he going to run on? Healthcare reform? How could he actually push that? Seriously, even if he wanted that to happen, people, the voters know he doesn't have the support to do it, or he would have already tried that. And so there's nothing. What is he going to cut taxes? There's no way he can propose something like that. That, number one, wouldn't blow up the party, but also would be somehow outstaking or outbetting Trump on cutting taxes. And so, I literally don't have a single platform for him to run on other than abortion, which in and of itself is not something that he has much control over to begin with. And so we're really talking about an election where he's mathematically screwed, and everybody who's not confident needs to join the bandwagon and bet while the gooding's good. All right? It's all positive from here on out. Trust the plan.
All right. Well, very high energy call from none other than the infamous Lalo. Thank you. very much, but that's the last call of the evening. So we have still 803 in chat, a couple more super chats. I missed SMW Physicist chat as he super chatted, and as well as Dova. But I apologize for that. I guess it just got lost in the super chat, saying what state has the best Republican delegation in terms of both voters and representatives. Well, I mean, Arizona's got some good representatives. There's probably a few other good states you could point to that I can't think of off the top of my head. There's a few good ones in North Carolina as well. You know, all around, there's a few good, above average delegations, but I mean, that's pretty much about it. It would just depend. I mean, the Republican voters in certain states, like primary electorate, maybe you could say Ohio, but they don't exactly have the best. But I think they could have the best, one of the better Senate delegations pretty soon. I think that Missouri arguably has the best Senate delegation in the country right now. But let's see. Also, Mr. Chicken Ball says, if you had to pick a VP for Trump, who would you pick? Well, I mean, it depends, because you talk about like the realistic picks. Like, I think it probably would be somebody like Carson or Zeldin. I don't think Vivek is going to be seriously in the running, just because I think him and Trump are too similar personality-wise, and I think Trump will keep him around, and he's alluded to that. But VP, that's a tough task, and it is really just a figurehead position. I mean, I'm not saying it's not important at all, but it is a little bit overrated by a lot of people. M says, what's more likely, red Vermont or blue Idaho? Probably, like, if you're talking about the presidential election, you can't divide by 0, but at the state level, Vermont does have a Republican governor, even though Republican is a little bit of a subjective term for him. So probably Vermont, just because it's been ancestrally so Republican. It's Legend says, would you ever run for president? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, won't we? But we're not quite there yet. So without further ado, 800 viewers in chat. I think we're going to probably end the stream, but everybody should like the stream before they go. Everybody should subscribe. Let's actually get it to 750 before we go. We're 50 away. We have more than enough viewers in chat to do it. Like the stream. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. If you are subbed, hit the bell. And I will be back with a video tomorrow. Next stream, I don't know when it's going to be. It's probably going to be on Tuesday. I might do a stream before then, but no promises. But Tuesday is definitely going to be a huge one, because that will be our 5-year anniversary of this channel. It really seems like yesterday and forever ago at the same time, but it's been a very, very, very long and fun ride. We haven't had a lot of electoral victories, but we're hoping to change that in this coming year for sure. So yeah, we hit 750. All right, we'll be ending the stream. Like the stream before you go, subscribe, do all that good stuff. I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.